Hey, what's going on, everyone? Got a topic here I thought would make a good discussion. So, recently I watched a video by Red Knight from Active Gamer Life. Check his channel out, the man is a legend, where he discussed the reactions of people to the latest Travis Strikes Again No More Heroes gameplay trailer, which was shown off in the last Nintendo Direct. There's been many videos and discussions on Twitter about how people were expecting a game more akin to the first two games. How they've been assuming this game is No More Heroes 3, something that Suda51 himself has clarified, that it's not, although I'll be the first person to hold my hands up here and say that I've been calling it No More Heroes 3 from the start, even though I have remembered that it wasn't. Red's video was more about how people overreact to such announcements and how he feels that information was always there, so he doesn't understand how people could get essentially confused or angry when seeing the latest gameplay trailer for this game, which is fine, it's understandable. Now, I've already said my parts on this, and I agree with him on most of it, of course. But I think we can agree that there's always going to be a level of ignorance. It always sounds like a horrible word, ignorance, doesn't it? But I don't mean it in a horrible way, because we are all, as we know, ignorant to many things. But ignorance when it comes to anything, and if you are going to have a vocal reaction to something, it's for the most part important to be informed in some way. This is how I feel, and there's no doubt that many of, if not most people, have had a reaction, mostly negative, to something that in their minds they were essentially anticipating or expecting, but didn't have all the information beforehand to prepare themselves for the actual reveal. I've done that myself, and I feel everyone has done that at some point. That's human nature. But regardless of opinions on this, what I'd like to discuss, or at least what I've taken away most from these reactions, both from myself and everyone else, is how important a good reveal of a game is when it comes to paving people's expectations on what they'll be playing in the future. Sticking with Travis Strikes Again for the moment, we all remember that hilarious, yet awkward moment when Suda51 rolled up onto the Switch reveal event stage in Japan and confused the hell out of most people, including the translator. Suda51 revealed that he's working on a new No More Heroes game, currently titled Travis Strikes Again, where an image of Travis was up on the screen in the background. Naturally, everyone's immediate assumption was that the Switch was getting No More Heroes 3, and whilst the translator struggled away, mostly due to Suda not adhering to the script, I believe, Suda continued to try and communicate across that Travis was returning. He's not sure on the title of the game yet, but he's been speaking to other indie devs at conventions, etc., about ideas and how Travis might work with other indie characters in his next game. This was the first announcement we got for this game, and unless you were super attentive, it would have been a pretty confusing scene upon first watch. So for all intents and purposes, this was the first reveal of No More Heroes. This was the first reveal of a new No More Heroes game. Just poor Suda fumbling away on stage and giving a single Travis image in the background. Okay? Fine. For most, we took away that No More Heroes was returning. This is great. Let's wait and let's wait for the first gameplay trailer, right? Unfortunately, I say unfortunately, the next reveal for this game wasn't essentially gameplay, but a cutscene / teaser trailer introducing a new character, as well as eventually showing off Travis again. This cutscene once again gave us the impression that this was yet another No More Heroes game, as we knew, and that Travis would be delving into different types of video games world, battling bad guys, whatever the story was going to do. Some might think that sounds bizarre, but that's how crazy No More Heroes games can be. So this was the second reveal. So first we had Suda on stage, and then we had this cutscene trailer. And now, finally, a year and a bit later, we get to see some gameplay, which for some, some people knew that it was going to be a sort of spin-off, something I'll explain in a second, whilst others, half including myself, thought that this could still be a No More Heroes 3, or a game still very akin to what we experienced before. But instead what we got was a trailer that got a lot of mixed reactions from both established fans and newcomers. Quickly going back to the spin-off part, this was pretty much clarified by a separate interview with Suda51 by Game Explain, I believe was the first one. I actually watched this, but to be fair, I'd forgotten about it. In here, he explains that this is essentially not No More Heroes 3, but more a separate adventure for Travis, hence the reason why the title Travis Strikes Again comes first before No More Heroes, and I'll show you that brief little snippet now.
そうなんですよ。ノマヒローズ3じゃないんです。
Yeah, it's not exactly a direct sequel, which is the reason they didn't call it No More Heroes 3. They didn't include a number in it. Yeah. And also the reason that they put Travis Strikes Again as sort of the main title is, while obviously it is part of the No More Heroes series, it's not a direct sequel to 1 and 2. It's sort of, I guess you could say, the beginning of a new adventure for Travis. So it's not, it is, technically sort of a sequel, but not a direct sequel at all. It's something sort of different from the previous game.
Now, this interview was fine. Great in fact that devs get interviewed and can elaborate on what they are making. My only issue with this is that who's going to be watching this the most? Who's going to be watching this interview? Now, I love video games as much as the next human, but even I don't watch all developer interviews, even for games that pique my interest. Which means my main interest was grabbed most likely by its reveal and or reveal trailer. As we know by now, there had been 2 reveals, one vague announcement on stage and one cutscene trailer. For most, this is all they would have seen, even for many players who had played previous No More Hero games. For many, they knew they were getting a new No More Heroes game, wasn't quite sure on its full direction, but based on past experience, they already had an idea or expectations in their heads, or like I said, a level of expectation or understanding of what could come. Why wouldn't they? Up till then, nothing had really been fully clarified in both reveals. As for newcomers to the series, they probably didn't listen to that interview and maybe only first saw this game on the latest Nintendo Direct. So their opinion is going to be completely formed off that one fast-paced trailer that looks like a minigame compilation and doesn't explain really much else. In fact, I have a good friend in work who had never heard of No More Heroes before and had just seen its trailer and had a similar reaction. So you come to the third reveal a year and a bit later, like I said, with some sort of expectation in your head, and what you get is a trailer that doesn't exactly set the world on fire, in my opinion. Even for me, and you get a speedy look at a number of minigame concepts that Travis is involved in, all with different art styles, and as I said in my previous videos, some looked good, some looked stylish, others looked pretty meh, my opinion. But this is the trailer, this is what the trailer's showing you, right? And everyone's going to have different reactions. Then at the end, you were lucky to, if you were lucky to catch it, you get a slight mention of an adventure mode of sorts. Once again, nothing concrete for the average viewer, explaining what this new game is in its entirety. Now, not to get into the argument of whether you like the trailer or not, what we've seen so far are a number of reveals, each of which continue to leave questions on exactly what this game will be for both old and new players, or what the game will be in entirety, which has led the internet to start debates on what this game is or what people were expected to expect based off the 3 reveals and the separate interviews. For me, this is not what I class as a good reveal. If people are still confused or questioning or debating in some way after 3 reveals, then you have to ask yourself, what's gone wrong? Is it the people or the developers, or both? This is why first impressions matter. Even on established franchises, or even more so if you're going to somewhat stray away from what got their attention in the first place. This is not a debate about whether developers should be allowed to create different styles of games using established characters. Far from it. Let me get that right now. Far from it. That is something I champion all the time, and have in fact done 2 videos on the topic. One titled "Let Nintendo Experiment with Their IPs," and partly in another titled "Diversity in Genres is Essential." Go and watch them after this video, or
I'll bitch slap you back to Africa.
Oh, you will? Yeah. Well, come on, let me see that. Come on, I want to see you do that. God damn it, come on.
This video is all about when you reveal a game, it is vital that you communicate as accurately as you can from the start what this game will be about. Otherwise, expectations will naturally form in people's minds, especially if it's from a known IP. This is the world of video games, all right? We've all been here before. As an example, one of the most famous is probably one of the most famous flip-flops in gaming. It's probably the Space World tech demo of Link versus Ganon. If you're as old as me, it'll be impossible to forget. The GameCube was being announced, and coming off the god tier games that were Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, the thought of what a new Zelda on GameCube tech could look like made everyone drool with anticipation. Then you see the demo of Link fighting Ganon, and everyone's minds were blown. It looked stunning and gave us a good idea of what the GameCube might be capable of, with the new Zelda, or just in terms of graphically what the new Zelda could look like. Now, let me get this out. Nintendo clearly stated that this was a tech demo. That's fine. Good, Nintendo. But we're human, right? And seeing that demo got our minds racing regardless of what Nintendo clarified about it. Then the reveal of Wind Waker happened, and we all remember the reactions. For the most part, it was what the fudgicles happened to the realistic Zelda, right? This is a perfect example of expectations, I suppose, where you've been accustomed to something, shown something, and expect something similar. Nothing wrong with this. We are creatures of habit, and when change comes along, we have to be, for the most part, slowly lowered into it, not thrown in head first. It's like walking into McDonald's asking for a Big Mac. Oh, my mind and crazy analogies, right? But anyway, it's like walking into McDonald's asking for a Big Mac and then being given a sea bass. That's lovely and all, but I'm going to tell you the truth. I wasn't quite ready for that. Then later on, after the initial what the fudgicles, you try the sea bass and go, that is a tasty sea bass. That was Wind Waker. As Red Knight pointed out, the same thing happened with Metro Prime Federation Force. You see that Prime name and have a level of expectance based off the past. How could you not? But then again, you get given sea bass out of nowhere. Except this time, some people throw that sea bass back at the chef and ask for a refund before furniture starts moving around that motherfucker. But now as we know, there was nothing wrong with the reveal trailer of Federation Force. It was more the timing and the lack of Samus Aran for the most, which is understandable. But at the same time, it was clarified there and then what this game was. But people rejected it. I don't want to go anymore into the fate of Federation Force, because in some parts it's as sad as the tale of the Wii U. Anyway, I've waffled on a bit here, so let's get this wrapped up. Like I said, first reveals are important, and any after should be doing nothing more than adding to the core concept of what was already established and clarified as best as possible at the start. At the same time, we should all be willing to accept change. But like I said, we struggle with changes. especially when they're just thrown at us, and not fully prepared. So that new idea or change needs to be clarified as soon as possible, so we're armed, ready, and willing. This leads to less confusion and hopefully continued hype for what's to come. Now, my thoughts, still talking about No More Heroes again here, just to finish it up. I still have mixed feelings about it, still based off that initial gameplay trailer. I think I said in one comment on one YouTube video, it might have been Red Knight's video actually, where he countered a little, saying that the gameplay snippets that we've seen were short and they're still not fleshed out enough, which is, yep, I get that, but once again, at the same time, perhaps that trailer didn't do the job that it needed to do to get me to have that continued hype. So at the moment I'm on middle grounds with No More Heroes. I still need clarification fully on what this game is going to be, how it's going to play. We got an idea kind of based off some of the mini games, although they all looked a bit strange and a bit similar, but we've had mini games like that in No More Heroes games before. But they could, to have a whole game based around them, this I'm still not sure about, to have a whole game based around them, they're gonna have to be good mini games. But anyway, I've already given my thoughts on No More Heroes, so I'm gonna leave it there. But let me know your own thoughts on this, of course, whether you agree with me, whether you don't, and on how I feel games reveals are very important, and establishing that initial idea of what players can expect from a game, and I am really interested to know what your thoughts on this. Whether you agree with me or not, thumbs up, thumbs down, I don't care. I'm here for conversation, for dialogue, and to speak out my own thoughts. So let me know them. And as always, if you've made it to the end, thanks for listening all, and I look forward to your comments below. Peace.